Vision Quest Barbecue. Today we're going to be making some pizzas in the Gozney Roccbox. But the first thing we have to do is we have to start off with a good crust to go into that Roccbox to make the type of pizza we're looking for. I'm going to show you right now how to do a crust. We got to get the dough made. We've got to let it rest for about 24 hours. So I'm not going to be making this pizza in the oven until tomorrow, but I'm going to go ahead today and make the dough, let it set up overnight. It's going to rise a little bit, and so it's going to be ready to go tomorrow. The first thing that you need is 00. This is the type of flour they use to make a traditional Italian pizza crust. I'll put a link for this down at the bottom there so you can find it. I've got this off of Amazon. It's the Caputo brand. So far I've tried it out many a times and have had success with it. I really like it, so we'll put that link down there. In this recipe, it calls for 500 grams, so it's exactly 1/2 of this package. Nonetheless, I've got a scale that I weigh things out on. I suggest that you get a scale too. It weighs both in ounces as well as grams. It really seems to help out with these recipes, particularly when you're making a recipe from Italy, where they measure things in grams. So we have here 500 grams of this 00 flour that I've measured out. I'm going to put that in my large mixing bowl to start with. The next thing you're going to need is some salt. We've got 15 grams measured out here of sea salt. That's going to go into our dough. You're going to need some dry yeast. We've got 3.5 grams of dry yeast measured out here. That's going to go in our dough as well. And then you're going to need 350 grams of water. We need it hot water out of the tap. You don't have to boil this stuff. You don't have to warm it up in the microwave necessarily. If your water comes out of the tap, bring it out of there as hot as you could get it. That's what's going to activate our yeast. We're going to take that water and we're going to pour it into our mixing bowl. I'm going to change the angle up here so you can see what I'm doing. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're going to take that water that we had, that hot water, we're going to pour it into our mixing bowl. In that, we're going to pour our dry yeast that we have measured out. Sprinkle that around there on the top. We want to get this dissolved. Let that hot water start activating it. Make sure you get everything out of there. All right, and then I try to keep one hand dry during this process, one hand wet. The only way to do this is to get in there, get your hands wet, get them dirty. I've washed my hands before we started here. I just work that around, make sure all that yeast is nice and dissolved in that bowl. Want to make sure that that's all dissolved. All right, then after that, we're going to start adding into it our flour, just a little bit at a time. As you start to add that, work it with one hand. Again, I got one hand dry here. I've got one hand wet. I'm working that mixture. It's going to start out kind of like a glue. We're going to keep adding to it. About this process time too, I'll go ahead and I'll add my salt in before I actually put all the dough in. I get the salt in there. Make sure that dough has some flavor. Then it's starting to mix up there. I'll go ahead and add a little bit more of that flour and continue to mix with one hand. And this will take a little bit of time. You'll see that it starts to get thick. You got to keep working it off the sides, and before it's over with, you're going to get a workout with that one arm, because you only got one arm in there, and it's going to get thick, and it's going to get a little bit of work to make that thing turn. I'm going to pour in the rest of my flour now. Got it going here pretty good. Put that over there. And here you can see, you just got to kind of keep working it in. And lost a little bit there, but you keep pulling it off the sides. Make this as authentic as I possibly can, and you'll see it gets real gooey here real fast. You get a heck of a mess before it's over with, but you just keep working it, keep getting that off of the sides. And then ultimately, once we get that into a good dough ball, we're going to take it, we're going to put it out on a mat, and we're going to work it off of the mat there and finish it up, because right now it's a sticky mess. You got to get a little bit more flour on this. I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'm gonna get my mat out and we'll get it on the mat and go from there. Be right back. All right guys, I've got the dough here in the pan. I've taken my mat here, I've floured it up. I'm gonna spread that flour out a little bit there. And I'm gonna take my dough, get it as best you can out of your mixing bowl and get it out here on the mat. Of course, right now it's very tacky. This added flour on the mat is going to help deal with that. You're going to, of course, I got it all over my hands, and I've got to work it off your hands. It's a mess. This thing is a mess. Making pizza ain't easy, but you start getting that added flour on there, and it starts to form into a dough ball a little bit better, and then you're going to work it. You're going to knead in that extra flour there off the board. You're going to keep working it. Keep working it. Work that stuff. We're going to make it. Try to get it off your hands as best you can, although that's almost impossible. Every time I've done this before, your hand's just going to get dirty. You're going to be able to clean that when it's over with, but keep kneading that dough, working that dough. Just keep working that thing. Getting that dough ready. Getting all that flour worked into there. It's going to just keep getting a little tacky, This is probably my last bit of little bit extra flour, working it in here. Stretch it a little bit, pound it a little bit, whatever you need to do. You got to keep working that dough. You're going to see this is going to make some amazing pizza dough tomorrow, and we're going to cook it really fast because that Gozney Roccbox gets really hot. All right, we got back to tacky there. I think I'm pretty good on my dough ball. I'm going to smooth that out just a little bit. All right. What you do is I've got some extra virgin olive oil here. I'm going to take that. I'm going to put just a little bit of that here in my mixing bowl. I'm going to work that around all the edges. All right, you can see I'm just taking it, I'm working that around. I'm going to take that dough ball and I'm going to put it right in the middle there, right in there. We're going to cover it with a damp kitchen towel that I've got ready here. I've already pre-moistened it, and you leave this thing sitting out for about 24 hours. Put it in a warmer place within your kitchen, let it set. You'll find tomorrow when you pull this back that dough's risen. It's going to be about twice the size as it is when you're putting it in there. So take a good look at it. Make sure you eyeball it so you know about what size it was when it went in there, and so you'll know about what size to expect tomorrow when you take it out. We'll let this thing set for 24 hours. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll start cooking some pizza. All right, guys, we're back on Vision Quest Barbecue here. We've let our dough rest overnight. We've got it here. I'm going to show it to you. We're getting ready to make some pizzas in the Gozney Roccbox oven here. Let me go off, change the camera a little bit here, and I'll show you what this looks like. All right, guys, we've got our dough here. I'm going to take it off. I have had it covered with a damp kitchen towel. This is what it looks like. You can tell it has risen quite a bit, at least double in size since yesterday evening. I'm first going to take a little bit of our flour. We're going to flour up our mat here because this dough coming out of here is going to be awful sticky to work with. I'm going to put a little bit on my hands as well. Massage it around on my board, and then you go in and you just start pulling this thing out of here. It's very, very sticky right now. It's going to be stuck on the sides. That's why we put that olive oil in there yesterday before we put it in, to try to minimize as much of the stick as we can. I'm going to put it on the board here, continue to get some more flour on my hands and just kind of work it here a little bit, punching it down a little bit. We're ultimately going to make dough balls of about 50 grams a piece. That's about the right size, but I found that works real good. Pinch it around, start to make it smooth on the top. Pull the sides down, tuck them under, makes it nice and smooth on the top. And bam, there you go. You can tell you got a nice smooth dough ball there. We've got our scale turned on here. I'm going to start cutting these. making some dough balls. I've done enough of this that I have a pretty good idea about what size dough ball that needs to be. A little bit bigger than that. Kind of put them together. Again, they're going to be real sticky. A little flour always helps. Again, pull those ends around, tuck them up under, make that nice and smooth. Get a weight on those. Let's see, need a little more. Yeah, looks pretty good. All right, so then you just start making your little dough balls here. And then tucking them under, setting them aside. You're going to go ahead and cut up your entire big dough ball here into small pizza-sized dough balls. These little dough balls are going to be what we actually take and make into our pizza. You get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these off camera. Alright guys, we got the dough balls cut out here. That big dough ball we had that we let rest overnight, it's going to make 4 dough balls. These are what we're going to actually roll out to use to make our pizza. We got this dough ball that we've made. We're going to start trying to roll it into the form of a pizza crust. I start by just using my fingers to go out and start stretching out, trying to leave a little bit of an edge there, and pick it up, use its own weight, start stretching a little bit here. Once you get it out like this, I usually put it back on the board. Use a rolling pin to help me get that round, perfect shape as best I can. Again, we've got basically that Roccbox will take about a 9-inch pizza, maybe 10. So you don't want to get this thing too big. You don't want to get it too thin. Just start working it out, keep working it out, trying to make this thing into a shape of a pizza. Alright guys, that's about the size of the pizza dough you need there to make your pizza in the backyard on the Roccbox. If you like this video, be sure and subscribe to this channel. Give me the thumbs up, hit the bell, let me know that you like it. Subscribe so you keep getting updates on this. We're going to make some pizzas here in other videos, so watch out for those. You're going to see a classic Neapolitan pizza, a meat lover's pizza, and we're even going to make a carne asada pizza burrito. Keep an eye out for those. Let me know how I'm doing. Please put your comments below. This is Vision Quest Barbecue. We'll be in touch.